How you doing today after a fairly uneventful night in Cleveland?
Well, I'll tell you what, it wasn't uneventful in terms of shedding any light on any issues. The President sure didn't want to talk about anything having to do with COVID or having to do with the election or having to do with dealing with people's jobs.
Well, let me ask you this. If you were to grade yourself, A through F, how you did, what grade would you give?
Well, I don't grade myself, but I felt very good about my performance and what I did, because what I tried to do, as you noticed, was talk to the American people, look in the camera and tell them what I was going to do. If you notice, the President did everything he could to distract from having to talk about the issues. He didn't talk about COVID, he didn't talk about his failures there, he didn't talk about the willingness, he made it clear he wouldn't accept the outcome of an election. He told white supremacists to, the Proud Boys, stand down but stand by. I mean, he sent all these dog whistles and all the, you know, it made me realize the reason I announced for president to begin with was I said we're in the battle for the soul of the nation. And last night was a perfect example. Every single time he was asked a substantive question, he went on the attack about my deceased son or I mean, just whatever.
I want to ask you about that. Let me ask you, have you agreed to the future debates?
Yes, I have. But
do you want the rules changed?
Well, I would hope they'd be able to gain more control so that he, I mean, look, I thought it was embarrassing for the country the way the president acted for the rest of the world watching this. And but the next debate is going to be a town hall type debate, and I'm really looking forward to it because, as I understand it, audience members are going to ask us a question. We get to answer the question, each of us. And I just hope there's an opportunity to actually answer the questions.
Along those lines, I want to ask you about a moment last night. You were talking about your son, obviously very proud. The president went to attack your son, Hunter. Obviously, you said some things showing you were very proud of him as well. You stopped. You looked at him. You gave him quite a look. Can I ask you what was going through your head at that moment?
I just thought that it was hard for me to believe that a president of the United States would be so viciously classless and do what he did. I wasn't trying to, look, the whole, we knew, and he announced and his people announced to all of you major outlets that they were going to try to just attack my family and to get me angry. And all I kept thinking was, I wonder how many people had to take their kids away from the television set when this was going on, just to say, this is not who we are. This is not who we are as a nation. That's all I kept thinking.
As a dad, as a father, was there anything personal going through your mind at that point?
Well, as a father, I thought about all the other fathers and mothers. I really mean this. Some of whom have lost their children. Some of whom have looking this morning at an empty kitchen chair where their 30-year-old son or daughter is no longer sitting to have breakfast with them and stopping over. I thought about all the people that are left behind. I really mean that. I mean, I just thought, this election isn't about my family or his. It's about your family. It's about the family of the American people. And it is, I just wonder, my Lord, what must they be thinking?
Mr. Vice President, you called the president last night a clown several times. You told him to shut up. In hindsight, do you regret using that language at all?
The thing I regret is I regret the way in which the president refused to respond at all to the needs of the American people and say what he was going to do. And the invective he engaged in, he used a line before the election, before the debate, that now he can be really vicious. And I just kept thinking to myself, what's this guy made of? I felt kind of embarrassed for the country.
So you don't regret calling him a clown or telling him to shut up?
No, I just wish the circumstance hadn't been what they were last night.